Andy Fearn, new director of football at Stafford Rangers this season, and you've been responsible for recruiting Jody Banham as the new manager. Tell us a bit about the whole process, the sort of applicants, and how we've ended up with Jody.
Well, the whole process has been very professionally executed. Chris, we invited applications into the football club, and given the status and the nature of this football club and its history, we actually received over 50 applications for the job, which we set a cut-off date of the 17th of April. Very quickly, really within a short space of time, we went through the process of whittling that down to a dozen applications, and I have to say the whole of the 50 applications are some tremendous applications, great qualifications, but the criteria that I'd suggested to the board initially was that we needed applicants from people who knew this division, had worked in this division, and potentially worked in the divisions above, and knew a big network of players that were playing within the MPL Premier Division or within the Conference North or even higher. So given the current COVID, within a week of those 50 or so applications coming in, we whittled it down to 12, and we, having taken advice, and I did speak to other people in the game who were in similar recruitment situations, we sent a questionnaire out to those 12 applications, so that everybody had a level playing field. Each responded, and from the responses to those applications, we then within a week whittled it down to a short list of 3, which was a very difficult process because there's some tremendous applications in the 12, but you tend to look into the responses to the questions asked and then default back to the initial CV. So within 2 weeks we got to the final 3 process, and then we've been really reliant upon what the government restrictions would be on movement and lockdown, in terms of ideally whether we could see the final 3 face to face, or whether we would go to Zoom conferencing or Skype conferencing, which would not have been the preference of any of us particularly, including the applicants. And initially we were eager for Boris's instruction on the Thursday, and then got delayed till the Sunday, so that kind of delayed the things, but we finally got to the final process of those interviews, and we had 3 fantastic candidates. It was a very difficult decision. I always knew it would be a hair's breadth between each, because every applicant had managed at this level last season, but it was just in the final process that Jody's knowledge, his enthusiasm, his understanding of Stafford Rangers, having played here a few times on the pitch and being a thorn in the side to Stafford Rangers, we just felt it was a right fit, and the added bonus of having that working knowledge with Hilly as well. Hilly's infectious in the changing room, had assisted ourselves last season on the coaching pitch, so it seemed to me to be a great marriage and a great partnership, and I'm really excited about the partnership that we've got, and we're just all now keen to get back onto the playing surface and complete the recruitment process. I mean, Jody's fully aware of the squad that we have. There are people within that squad that Jody, without any doubt, wishes to keep at the football club, and those conversations are ongoing. And certainly, there'll be some surgery that's needed, and I look forward to that, and we look forward to completely new ideas and new enthusiasm, and trying to get the right results for us on the pitch next season.
Just sort of remind us, because I know it was out in the initial, when you were appointed to the post, your involvement in the playing side of it now. How will you sort of blend in with Jody in recruitment? What say do you have on that?
Well, let's be 100% factual. The new management team will be 100% responsible for their squad, their team, the selection of it. I can provide advice from my knowledge within the game, advice on current players around the club now, advice on players that I've come across in the MPL and above. But at the end of the day, to use a cliche, the buck stops with Jody and Matty, and I'm there for advice and support. And I think the role of director of football, and it's been on the cards for me for some time at Stafford Rangers. Last season, irrespective of what the final outcome was always going to be my final season in the dugout. And I'd spoken to the board several months prior to the potential role of director of football, which I got tremendous support for. And that role is to really take away the irritations from the management team, the irritations of writing, contracts if we go down that route, or non-contracts, all the administration, the negotiation when players are looking for that extra little bit, that you don't really want the management team fretting over small facts that can deter them away from their focus. It's things like making sure that we've got the right number of coaches going to away games, we've got the right infrastructure in the club, we've silly things like the shower project, will it ever finally work? And that shouldn't really be the burden of the manager worrying about that. The disciplinary side, if the manager needs somebody impartial to refer back to on issues, then that's what I'm there for. Equally, from a player point of view, if he finds it difficult to approach a subject directly with a manager, that's what I'm there for. And the wider remit as well is to harmonise the football club, Chris, to bring the academy and the under-21s into the loop, to bring the junior setup into the loop, so that there can be a clear progression for any young kid in Stafford who's a talented footballer to stay with Stafford Rangers from the age of 6 right the way through to first team appearance. And we need to bring that together, and it might need some tweaking. I think it's just fine tweaking, but going back to your question, the management of the first team is down to Jody Banning and Matty Hill. I'm there for advice and support.
And do you see yourself as a crucial link between the playing side and the board of directors as well? Because with all due respect, the board of directors are generally supporters of football, but don't necessarily have that wider football tactical knowledge, so to speak. They've got no experience in football apart from Stafford Rangers, really. Do you see yourself in that sort of role as well, to give them football advice?
Yes, I mean, I've come onto the board as director of football, and there's a clear job description which I've put together with John McMillan, and the board is fully aware of what my role is in the football club. And you're right, Chris, the board of directors are fantastic. They are football supporters. They love this club. The amount of financial support they've given to this football club over 2 years is tremendous. But I just think having somebody on the board who knows a little bit more about the intricacies of the game behind the scenes, and it's the same with football supporters. Our supporters want to see results on the pitch like we do. They watch the game of football, and that's their knowledge of football. But the actual profession is somewhat a bit more profound than what you get on the pitch, and that's my role, is to really bring that expertise. And I'm learning as well. Let's not forget, I'm new into this role. I've spoken to a lot of people who are in similar roles in this league and leagues above, and I feel that I can bring added value to the board by having football knowledge.
And just sort of going slightly off that role, I don't want to put you on the spot too much. The academy, Mitch was in charge of the academy last season. What's the position with the academy going forward?
Well, it's a very fluid situation. We're contractually obliged to maintain the academy through the current provider for next season. We need to look at where we go beyond that. I mean, the stark reality is that Alex is still the head of the academy at Stafford Rangers until further notice. That's a discussion that Alex and I have to have at some point in the future, because Alex's income totally comes from football outside of Stafford Rangers, and we have to respect that. And let's not forget the fact that Alex Mitchell is a tremendous coach of footballers, both at a young age and the senior age. But that's something that will be discussed with other people within our football club about the whole structure of the academy, where we take it in 12 months' time or 24 months' time. the clear emphasis is to produce players, local players who can come on the pitch for the first team. And at this moment in time, that's high priority for me. The next level below the first team is to make sure the academy setup is right and producing footballers. And it's fair to say that we did have academy players training with us last season. Jodie's already referenced the fact that we'll be using academy players this season, not least just to make the numbers up on a Thursday night, but with a view to their development. And we'll certainly have at least one of those players, with us in pre-season. Although Owen may be making a commitment to get a scholarship in the USA, in the current climate, that might not be as soon as he wishes. But Owen will be with us pre-season, and I hope he really experiences and takes a lot from it.
Going into the season, how do we, if you've got any thoughts about when we'll actually start, or what the season might sort of involve if and when we get going. I saw a report yesterday about potential that clubs at this level won't be in the FA Cup, which is a major money spinner for clubs of this level. You win a couple of games and that's half your budget.
Well, I've not heard that rumour. What I would have been proposing, if requested to by the NPL, would be that any such county cup competitions should be postponed for the forthcoming season. Similarly, the Integro Cup, which I think the NPL has already made that decision not to run that. But I think the likes of the FA Trophy, FA Vars and FA Cup are crucial to revenue streams for clubs at our level and even above our level. So I can't see a situation where those opportunities are withdrawn or taken away from us. But I think the reality is, going back to your initial question, like everybody, I really don't have a clue when the season's going to start. It depends who you speak to, who you listen to. Are we going to start in August? Highly unlikely. September, maybe. October, possibly. The answer is who knows. I've even heard it suggested that when we do get up and running, we may even split this current division into two subdivisions.
I was just
so
ask you
on a geographical basis that and then the winners of each could possibly play off for promotion to the Conference North. But it's all sceptical, it's all hypothetical.
Effectively,
and it's just people trying to produce an answer to the predicament we're in. But let's hope we can get going. If we were to get going in September, you've actually only lost 3 weeks of the season, and instead of playing Saturday, Tuesday every week up until November, maybe we're going to be playing Saturday, Tuesday every week up until February or beyond. Which will never be a problem with the players, actually, because the players will always prefer to play rather than train. But it gives you less time on the training ground to remedy things if you're only training on a Thursday evening. But I think every club could be in the same.
And a greater workload, risk of injuries as well.
Correct. But we just now that we've made the announcements, and we're just all keen to get going and get the lads back on the pitch. And as Jodie's implied, we've spoken to the majority of last season's squad. There's an absolute keen response from all those players to get back here and put a wrong right and perform on the football pitch and stay injury free. But that's not my decision, Chris. That's going to be Jodie and Matty's decision at the end of the day. Who comes back to the football club and who forms the squad for the next season whenever we start. But it is difficult. We've spoken to teams about pre-season fixtures. We've lined clubs up, but of course we can't set a date. We don't know whether pre-season is going to be the usual 6 weeks duration, whether it will be curtailed to 4 weeks, or whether the league will just go, right, you're playing in 2 weeks' time, get it sorted. And
that's the sort of thing I was getting at when I was chatting to Matty earlier about players keeping in training, because you could be thrown in. Any normal time you're thinking, right, I've got May off, I'll start my pre-season in June, and by the time we get back to training, we're fully raring to go and we can fit in. This sort of situation, you don't want to be peaking your training too early. You've got to keep a degree of fitness about you, haven't you? and it is all self-discipline, I suppose.
Yeah,
isn't it?
but I think with today's modern day footballer, semi-professional or full-time professional, they keep themselves in far better shape than players of a quarter of a century ago, perhaps. So they do look after themselves. They don't necessarily drink the amount of beer that we've all been drinking during lockdown. So I think in general they will keep themselves fit. I mean, the squad that came back last summer came back lighter than they finished the season on, and there was no sort of pre-arranged programs for them to go running up mountains. Or I think it's just the general nature of a lot of young lads these days do generally keep themselves fit.
And it's a competitive world, and they know that if they're not fit, they'll be out. And
exactly. You know, I think a lot of the lads will be saying, right, okay, you know, we need to impress a new management team. We need to be in the right state of mind and body to hit the ground running. Because if they come back in bad shape, that'll be seen very quickly, and it could put them at risk of not getting a deal for next season. So I think overall I trust in a lot of the players now to come back in decent condition.
So finally, just reverting back to Jody, obviously you've had plenty of time, your football time up in the northwest with Stalybridge. He's not somebody you've worked with before.
No, he's not. I mean, the irony is, I certainly can remember on a couple of occasions where, with Steve Burr, where we tried to sign Jody because, you know, prolific goal scorers, which Jody was, are hard to come by. But of course, for whatever reason, Jody was on a different career path into the Football League or whatever. It just never worked out. And the irony was that Jody signed for Stalybridge Celtic probably a week or two after Steve and I had moved on to Kidderminster, but that's life. But Jody, you know, I've been in the dugout against Jody, playing in the opposition. He was always a difficult player to mark and keep tabs on, and I think he'll bring that experience with him to our. I mean, I'd love to be a striker at this football club now in the summer with Jody Bannimer on the pitch, and you know, his record stands for itself. But you know, he's always played in sides, whether it was Droylsden or Radcliffe or even, you know, Shrewsbury, where they played forward-thinking football, and I think he's probably learned a lot from the managers at those clubs, and he wants to apply that to the brand of football that we see on the pitch at Stafford Rangers.
Okay. Thanks very much, Andy. Wishing you all the best when we get this season up and running, and stay safe.
Pleasure, thank you. Thanks.